Okay, it is 6 o'clock. Not used to one of these in front of me. There's a reason why I am calling the meeting to order. One of them is that Arne Nystrom has resigned, and I am the oldest person in seniority on the board, so therefore, until somebody is chosen, and somebody has been chosen, and that will be noted in the minutes of the October 8th meeting. So I will call the meeting to order, and the first thing we'll do is call the public meeting to order. The public hearings that we have, and it's what we will do after we announce who they are, is what we'll allow for is the people that are against this will speak first, and then the person in favor of it, or persons in favor of it, will speak. So I'll have the clerk read the first public hearing, which is the Michael Zerflu.
You're gonna have a pledge of allegiance?
That will come after the public hearing.
Okay, the first public hearing, Michael Zerflu, application to rezone from R2 residential to R1 residential. All of Lot 2, a 13,650.1 square foot lot from a newly created certified survey map, land identified as parcel number 0700872Q.
Is there anyone here wishing to speak against the public hearing? Please identify yourself with your name and address. Yes.
My name is Mary Nenig, and I'll take this one. My husband John and I live at 515 Brentwood Drive in Rapids. We are in the town of Grand Rapids. I needed to write things down, especially since there's a 2-minute limit here.
No, there's no 2-minute limit.
Okay. I attended last night's board meeting due to concerns about adding additional rental properties and duplexes in our Grand Rapids neighborhood. And I'd like to add some extra comments from last night that we have. The reason that my husband and I are opposed to rezoning is the change in the community makeup of our neighborhood. I am unaware of how many duplexes are in Grand Rapids. However, it appears that this will be a duplex or maybe a quad. As of last night, Mr. Zerflu was saying that it might be, if the R1 to R2 to R1 didn't work, he'd do an R3, which could qualify him for a larger unit as well. So we are concerned about the care and upkeep of homes that are transient in nature. Increased traffic, the lack of responsibility that someone who is renting has to a home versus the majority of our homes in that neighborhood are owner occupied. Our neighborhood is generally quiet, and we feel that there will be a lot more traffic in that area. I'm also aware that other neighbors that have vacant lots in that area have been approached by Mr. Zerflu also wanting to develop them. Please know that it's nothing against Mr. Zerflu. It's about how much activity is going to be happening in the neighborhood. Also, I'm not sure if this is accurate or not, this is a rumor, that in the past there was an unsuccessful perk test on that lot in question. That, along with its small size, is likely why no one has been able to build on that property up to this point in time. Why are we changing that now? Having a woods as a buffer, as in many of our neighborhoods have, it's not real urban, lots of trees, whatever. That woods is a wonderful buffer for noise, a haven for wildlife, and it is seen by us to be an asset to our township. I would ask that we keep that lot as a wooded area and undeveloped. lastly, last evening, Mr. Zerflu commented that he could go to the city to have the lot annexed, but he said that was not meant as a threat, but it certainly is something that we are concerned about. We do not want to be annexed. We're close by to where the city is, but we don't want to be in Wisconsin Rapids proper, if at all possible. Our neighbors that attended last evening, along with my husband, would like to ask that you as our town board please consider our desire to keep the area unchanged and not allow undue development of duplexes and such if we have to go outside of this zoning here. Thank you for your listening to my
Thank you for your
concerns.
comments. The board cannot respond to this, but we will later on in the agenda. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to the, please then state your name
Travis
and
Shalinsky,
address.
3920 Lincoln Street. I own the property directly to the north of this said lot. The comments were made last night that that lot is already undersized. I did some pacing off of it today. I find it very, very difficult to see how he's going to jam a duplex in there. My other concern that I did think about today is I recently just purchased in, I believe it was May. I do have a well. I am slightly uphill. Now, if you have and allow a duplex in there, now you have two people running a well right next to mine. What happens if mine dries up? Then I have to spend money for something that was not my cause and not my doing. So I am definitely opposed to this. Mike Zerflu is out to make money. Nothing against him. He's a businessman. I get that. But that's all this is. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else to speak in opposition to this public? Yes, your name, please.
Yes, Jennifer Esselman. I'm at 3911 Lincoln Street. We're right across the street from there. With what Mary said, I would have to agree with everything she said. It's a nice, quiet neighborhood. We would appreciate not having another duplex or a fourplex. I mean, he sounded like if he wasn't going to get the duplex, he's going to go with the fourplex. So we would like to not have that.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Go ahead, state your name.
Yeah, Bill Gil-Layton, I'm representing the Grand Rapids Sanitary District. I brought it up last night. R1 and R2 in the town of Grand Rapids, the only distinction is R1 allows building on a 10,000 square foot lot. R2 does not. He wants to rezone a current satisfactory lot that is just over 20,000, I believe it's like 30-some thousand square feet, has a duplex on it now. He wants to split that, make one conforming 20,000 square foot lot and one non-conforming. I think what the board has to look at is section 51 is the applicable thing here. He can't rezone that legally. Section 51 is a land division. He wants to divide an existing conforming lot and create a smaller conforming lot and a really small non-conforming lot. Our ordinance says that in section 51, unless you're served by sanitary sewer, a new lot creation has to be 20,000 square feet. And that's the only thing that's protected our groundwater in Grand Rapids, is that 20,000 square foot minimum. So we can't afford to be building or particularly creating new undersized lots. So I'm definitely opposed to that from a water quality standpoint.
And also from your position on you're the chairperson of the sanitary district?
Yeah.
And that's coming from only you, but not the sanitary district?
Correct.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak in opposition? I'll go two more times. Anyone else to speak in opposition? Is there anyone else to speak in opposition? Hearing none. Those in favor of the applicant, wish to speak? Is the applicant present? No, the applicant, let's note that the applicant is not present. This is a public hearing. This is what the public hearings are for. To discuss this here, it was discussed last night at the Plan Commission, but people within 50, with 500 feet all have notice of this. So is there anyone else to speak in favor of the application? It's the final time. Okay, will the clerk read the public hearing for the Dame Ramsden storage unit?
Yep. We're going to call this one closed at 6:11. So.
Yes, thank you.
Yep. Okay, number 2, David Ramsden Storage Unlimited LLC, conditional use permit application to allow 2 additional 40 feet by 295 feet storage units located at 7920 South Park Road, parcel number 0701658.
Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Guess your name and
Dan
address.
Hoffman, sorry. Dan Hoffman, 7710 Warren Drive. My concern is, when we purchased our house on Warren Drive 13 years ago, there was a deep wooded lot there. And that's part of the reason why we decided to live there. My concern is, now how far is this going to come towards our home? Is there going to be a natural barrier? And is what's there now going to get cleaned up? Because right now it's a mess with a pile of trees and dirt. And I don't want to go out in my front yard and look at that. It's not why I moved there. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak to the board? They will be making the decision later. Anyone else in opposition? One more time, anyone else in opposition? Anyone in favor of it? Is the applicant present? Yes, please note that you're present.
So Jamie White, 3410 Deer Road. So we're asking for 2 buildings to be directly south of the 2 that are existing. There is currently a tree buffer between, I'm not sure exactly if Warren Drive is to the west of the buildings or not, but there is a tree buffer currently to the west of the buildings, and that tree buffer would stay. There is currently a plan to come back to the board with something, for future development. We would have to come back at that time. At this time, the tree buffer would stay. And as far as the property landscaping, right now we're finalizing the DNR stormwater plans, and so that's part of why the buffer or the tree roots are basically just piled up and in the sand berm until we can finalize those plans.
Anyone else to speak in favor of the applicant? Anyone else to speak in favor of the application? Hearing none, we'll close that one at
6:14.
14. Keep track of that for me, please. Okay, number 3 is Shane Roosh, land development. Would you please read?
Number 3 is Shane Roosh Land Development 4 LLC, application to rezone from agricultural to R2 residential, parcels 0701006C, parcel 0701006D, parcel 0701006E, 3 lots from previously approved certified survey maps.
Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Is the applicant present?
No.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone here to speak in favor? Last time, anyone here to speak in favor? Hearing none, I close that one.
6:15.
Application number 4, also Shane Roos, developer.
Okay, number 4, Shane Roosh Land Development 1 LLC, application to rezone from agricultural to R2 residential, parcel number 0701003, a 19.17 acre parcel.
Anyone here to speak in opposition? Second time, anyone here to speak in opposition? And for the third and final, anyone here to speak in opposition? Is the applicant present? No, he's not. Anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone here to speak in favor? Hearing none.
6:16, closed out.
Number 5, would you please read number 5, Shane Rouge?
Hey, Shane Roosh Land Development 1 LLC, preliminary plat for Deer Road Acre subdivision to be located on a 19.17 acre parcel described as Section 34 T22 North Range 6E North, half of the northeast quarter, southeast quarter, Town of Grand Rapids, Wood County, Wisconsin, parcel number 0701003.
Anyone here to speak in opposition? Yes, please state your name.
Randy Williams, 4011 Town Line Road. Not in opposition, just a plat to be presented. Is there a map of the subdivision available for public viewing?
Yes, currently there is we were handed some information in regards to how he figures he's going to be dividing it. The reason why it's going into R2 is because each lot is just slightly under 5 acres. So that's why he's going to R2. So it's going to be 4 lots. And he is going to get back to us with a more final map. He did present a preliminary, but there were things on there that we just wanted to have in writing on this map. Yeah, and Nick.
So I think your question was, is there a preliminary plat map? And the answer is yes.
Okay.
I see it there. Can you rip it off and hand it to him, or?
I can snap a picture of it.
And to clarify what was just said while she's handing you that, this is the preliminary plat map, part of the process. The final plat would be after the preliminary plat, so that would still take another round of approval. This is just to consider the preliminary plat map part of the subdivision process.
Okay, thank you. Are they going to have access off of Deer Road or off of 48th Street?
It will actually come off of the Deer Road.
Okay.
And why Supervisor Lumney is doing that is, the fact is that she is on the plan commission. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else to speak in opposition? Anyone else to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak in favor of the application? Anyone else to speak in favor? For the last time, anyone else to speak in favor? Okay.
6:18.
Okay. Hearing that, now we'll move into our regular meeting for tonight, and we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. And Keith, I would like you to lead the Pledge of Allegiance to us. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approve the minutes, the agenda for the meeting tonight. Is there any discussion on it? Okay, number 3 is approve the minutes of the town board meeting of 9/14/2021. First of all, what is the town's pleasure on?
The agenda just, first of all, it's for 9/14 and 10/8/21.
I would like to do just one at a
Oh,
time.
okay.
The meetings you're talking?
Yes. Mhm. It is.
Okay. Noting that the agenda is not public to you, and this is my beef about these, is the agenda for the previous meeting is not the public notice to you, although in some organizations I belong to, it is. So you as the public do not know what we said at the last meeting because, or motions that were made unless you were here. So it's up to the board now what they want to do with the meeting of 9/14/21.
I can make a motion to approve September 14th, 2021 minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it, it is unanimous. On 10/18/2021, I would like for those minutes to be read by the clerk.
The entire minutes.
Yes, for that meeting.
Meeting was called to order, we'll start, called to order due to the absence of a chairperson. Supervisor Clendenning, as senior member of the board through years served, called the meeting to order at 4:50 p.m. Item number 2, consideration and possible action on accepting Chairman Nystrom's resignation and filling vacancy on town board. Bill Clendenning stated the special meeting was called due to the vacancy created by Chairman Nystrom's resignation and asked Attorney Flanagan to give an overview of how to proceed. Attorney Flanagan stated Clerk Dotter received a written notice of resignation from Chairperson Nystrom on 10/6/2021. He stated vacancies for both chairperson and supervisors are filled by a motion from the remaining board members and also the clerk. Clerk Dotter will refrain from making any motions but would just participate in any voting to fill a vacancy. He also offered to draft a resolution of appreciation for the former chairperson for years of service, which would then be considered at the next board meeting. Supervisor Clendenning stated he did not feel a resolution should be done given the circumstances of no notice being given prior to resigning. Discussion took place on the different possibilities of how to fill the vacancy. Supervisor Clendenning states he feels if a new chairperson is elected today that they would start serving as chairperson after today's minutes are approved at the 10/12/2021 board meeting. Motion by Lumbee to nominate Supervisor Clendenning be appointed as chairperson through the remainder of the unexpired term until April 2023, and that vote be conducted with a paper ballot. Motion not seconded, motion failed for lack of a second. Motion by France, seconded by Icorn to nominate Supervisor Icorn to be appointed as chairperson through the remainder of the unexpired term until April 2023. Supervisor Clendenning asked for a roll call vote. A roll call vote was taken and carried 3-2 with Supervisor France, Supervisor Icorn, and Clerk Dotter voting aye, and Supervisor Clendenning and Supervisor Lumbee voting nay. Attorney Flanagan stated Supervisor Icorn has been awarded the chairperson position upon Clerk Dotter administering his oath. Attorney Flanagan stated this now creates a vacancy in the supervisor position with the unexpired term in that seat running until April 2023. The board then reviewed the options for filling that vacancy. Motion by Clendenning, seconded by Icorn, to appoint Andrew Simon to fill the vacant supervisor position through the remainder of the unexpired term until April 2023. Andrew Simon was present and stated he would accept the position. Supervisor Lumbee stated there was another former board member, Dan Paulson, who would be interested in filling the vacancy, and she would like this item to be considered at the next board meeting instead of tonight. Supervisor Clendenning stated he feels the board should move forward with the vote, given that person was not in attendance or had expressed any written interest ahead of time. Motion carried 5-0, filling the current supervisor vacancy with Andrew Simon through April 2023. Supervisor Icorn stated that he would like to see the resolution of appreciation for former chairperson Nystrom put on the next board meeting for consideration. Clerk Dotter will add that to the next agenda. Item number 3, to adjourn. Motion by Lumbee, seconded by Icorn to adjourn meeting. Motion carried 4-0. Meeting adjourned at 5:12 p.m.
Those are the minutes of that meeting. What is the committee's pleasure?
I can make a motion to approve October 8th minutes as presented.
I will second that. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes, it is unanimous, and thank you. I turn the meeting over to Supervisor and now Chairman Jeremy Icorn.
Thank you, Bill.
And congratulations.
Thank you. We will open with public comment. People wishing to address the board will be limited to 2 minutes each, with public comment limited to 30 minutes in total.
How'd you like that?
Anybody wish to address the board? Sir.
I just think the town board as a whole committed some nefarious activities by electing a chairman when you have a senior member that's been on this board for years. Now we got somebody brand new, gonna have to learn the ropes. I just think it was the wrong decision, my take on this town board. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak? Sir.
Just on behalf of myself, and I believe I can speak all my firefighters, we just want to thank Arne Nystrom for his years of service. He also did serve the fire department as well as the board. And he was definitely a community-oriented person. And we wish him better health and enjoyment in his next chapter of life. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
Could I ask where what's the placement of the referendum concerning ATV, UTV?
That was in the last meeting. Can you address that?
So this is public comment, so really the board shouldn't be responding to it aside from referring it to either a committee or a future agenda.
We'll have to wait on that.
Okay, thank you.
Can't address the right now. Anybody else wish to speak? Okay, not hearing any. We will move on. Item 5, monthly reports from the departments. Fire department.
All right, good evening, board and residents. We're currently staffed with 44 members, 5 non-structural, 6 EMS only. We're always looking for good people. Contact me if you're interested. Service and call information. This last month we responded to 33 calls, 24 EMS and 9 fire. The fire calls broke down as 2 structure alarms, a gas leak, 2 motor vehicle accidents, 3 mutual aid calls, 1 with Rapids, 2 with Buren, a power line call. That was a 16% decrease in calls from this time last year, dead even with last year on the fire calls. But on that note, that's a little misleading, just a little information for the board and the residents. Our call volume in general is way up this year. Last year, we had 293 EMS calls. We're already at 279. Last year, we had 99 calls for service for fire. We've already had 100. So, training information for last month. For EMS, the EMS squad, we did our American Heart Association CPR refresher. And if any of the residents saw a lot of traffic on the road by fire department vehicles, we completed our entire department on EVOC training, which is Emergency Vehicle Operations Course training. So we put a lot of miles on the vehicles, training with those. So we held a monthly department meeting, monthly officer meeting, 4 training meetings. Fire prevention, we're in the process, and we have done several area schools. We also attended the Run with the Cops for Special Olympics the other night, and displayed our ladder truck and flew our flags. Our smoke detector program has resumed since COVID, and we did 1 sign last month. As far as the safety goes, there was no injuries to report this last month. Any questions from the board?
I don't have a question, but I think it's, on the last meeting, you had mentioned that your firemen and yourself are raising money for the next purchase. Did you want to repeat that again, just so that people know what your goals are, and maybe the 503 again?
We're, we are in the process of speccing out and building another. We're going to replace the 1993 squad truck we got out there, and we're going to replace that with a rescue style vehicle. So in fact, we inked the, we had enough money. We inked the purchase of a new chassis this last week. We're kind of putting the cart in front of the horse because vehicles are so hard to get right now. It's probably gonna take us a year to get that chassis. So anyways, we have purchased that, but now we'll finish the spec on the vehicle and we'll be building that as we go. Our 501c3 is underway. We're not there yet, but we will be probably shortly after the first of the year.
Very good.
So, any other questions or concerns? Okay.
Thank you. Safety Department?
Good evening, everyone. The Grand Rapids Police Department handled 385 calls for service in September, and that compared to 350 calls for service in September of last year. That's about a 10% increase in calls, and the board members have a breakdown of those calls. Through the third quarter now of 2021, the Grand Rapids Police Department has handled 3,135 calls for service, and that compares to 3,116 calls for service during the same period, which from last year, which is less than a 1% increase in calls. The police department issued 56 traffic citations, 6 municipal ordinance citations, and 54 written warnings during the month of September. On September 20th, I participated in the Law Enforcement Recruit Academy interviews at Midstate Technical College at the Stevens Point campus. It was a good opportunity to get a preview of some of the students that intend on attending the Police Recruit Academy and start their career in law enforcement. On September 23rd, Chief Scott Drew of Port Edwards Police Department and I co-hosted the monthly meeting of the North Central Chiefs of Police Association at the Bullseye Country Club. The business meeting was well attended and with a variety of law enforcement topics discussed. The one thing I forgot to put in the report that I was kind of remiss in mentioning is on September 29th, Safewise announced that the town of Grand Rapids was the 6th safest city in Wisconsin as determined by Safewise. Safewise, an online company that specializes in security and home surveillance system, things like that. So this is their 7th annual. We've been consistently in the top 10. We've been as high as number 1 here a few years ago, and this year we came in at number 6. Couple of other items, and I laid them by the sign-in sheet up there. On this Thursday, October 14th at 5:30, I'm going to be participating in a community bike ride. That's going to be with Sheriff Becker and myself, and also the Wood County Health Department and the UW Extension. And we're going to take a bike ride around Lake Wazeecha. So everybody, if you're interested in participating, we're going to meet at the White Sands parking area at 5:30, and then we'll depart from there and go around the lake, and we'll be meeting by the rideshare bicycle stand that they have there. So I know the fire chief's going to be out there riding, and I think we're going to have, if it's part of their training, they're going to have some of their first responders out there along the route, just in case. So hopefully you have a good turnout for that. The other thing I'd like to bring up is next Tuesday, a week from today, we're going to be holding a prescription drug secure, monitor, and dispose. It's a free community event right here at the fire department at 5:30. And if I can get it out here, okay. It's going to be a prescription take-back public informational meeting, like I said, here at the police department a week from today. The informational meeting will be open to the public, and the community is encouraged to attend. This is in conjunction with the DEA National Prescription Take-Back events that are occurring across the nation this or not this Saturday, Saturday, October 23rd. It's the Wood County Health Department and the Grand Rapids Police Fire teaming up to discuss the benefits of proper prescription drug disposal for the community, the environment, and overall public health. So just a couple of things coming up that the public's invited to, and hopefully we can have a good turnout for those two events coming up this Thursday, and then again a week from tonight. Any questions?
You said that meeting was at the police department, it's here at the fire department.
Yes, yeah, I meant here at the fire department, so at 5:30.
There's a flyer on the back wall too on that drug take back thing.
I have a question. Yeah, so when somebody brings in those drugs, you can bring in your neighbor's drugs, right? That they want to get rid of?
Sure.
They don't have to be your own drugs and...
No, you don't have to be your own. Bring them in. We prefer that you can put them in like a Ziploc bag. That's the preferred method. You can dump all your bottles in there. That way, because if you bring them in the bottles, then what we do is we have to separate them, and with the amount of drugs that we get, we can't always pull off the labels. So if you can do that at home, at least pull off the labels from the bottles and then put the bottles in, or like I said, just dump all the bottles in a Ziploc bag and bring that in, that would be great. We'll discuss this more a week from tonight, but on that Saturday, October 23rd, we're actually, the Grand Rapids Police Department, the Wisconsin Rapids Police Department, the Wood County Sheriff's Department are going to have an event between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Pick and Save, where you can drive up and bring in your medications at that time and drop them off. And of course, we always have our deposit box in the front office where you can drop them off if you can't make that event on Saturday between 10 and 2 at Pick and Save. So, but that, like I said, we'll be discussing more about that on next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, I was just out of curiosity on your September 20th law enforcement recruit. I was just interested in the quantity of students that are in this field. Was there a lot, or?
Trying to recall the amount. It was less than 20, let's put it that way.
Okay.
I've been doing these interviews now for a couple years.
Right.
And this is the first time we've been able to accomplish all the interviews in one day. Usually it's spread out over 2 days.
Okay.
I want to say we had 16. Yeah, I believe it was 16 come in and interview that day. So, and then depending on the quality of the interview, and then they also have to do their physical agility test yet after that interview, so that number may shrink even more, but that's how many we had for the oral interviews.
Interesting, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Treasurer.
Good evening. For the month of September, current month receipts were $16,345. Current month disbursements were $224,516. Cash on hand at the end of the month was $1,529,500, with $105,070 in checking and $1,139,369 in the repo account, and $326,310 in the money market account. Any questions?
All right, next agenda item, consideration and possible action on resolution for appreciation to Arne Nystrom for his service to the town of Grand Rapids.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, just a general background and overview. At the October 8th meeting, I was asked to prepare a resolution. I did that. I believe the years and terms were filled in by the clerk after confirming with the chair, or with the former chairperson on his years of service. If the board would like, I can read it. Otherwise, I believe you all have it in your packet this evening.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll second that.
I would like it actually read. If it's okay with Nick to read it?
Sure. This is resolution number 2021-33, a resolution of appreciation to Arne Nystrom for his years of service to the town of Grand Rapids. Whereas Arne Nystrom has served the town of Grand Rapids in the role of town supervisor and town chairman 13 terms over the years from 1995 to 2021, during which time he served 8 years as town chairperson and 18 years as town supervisor. And whereas during his terms, Arne Nystrom served in many different areas of town government, including on the Public Works Committee and Personnel Committee. And whereas during his terms in the roles of town chairperson and town supervisor, Arne Nystrom brought his thoughtful and reasoned approach to many difficult projects and proposals, and provided valuable knowledge and guidance to committees of the town and the town board. And whereas the Town of Grand Rapids Board of Supervisors wishes to thank Arne Nystrom for his outstanding years of service to the Town of Grand Rapids. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Town of Grand Rapids Board of Supervisors does hereby express their appreciation to Arne Nystrom for his public service, dedication, and longtime commitment to the Town of Grand Rapids, and publicly thank him for his years of service.
Thank you.
Give a second.
We have a second, we just need a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Nick. Item 7, consideration and possible action on resolution 2021-21 Mike Zerflu application to rezone from R2 residential to R1 residential, all of lot 2, A 13,650.1 square feet lot from a newly created certified map, land identified as number 0700872Q, no comprehensive map change needed.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to give just a little bit of background to this and a report of the result of the Plan Commission meeting. I will do that on this as well as the following, I believe, 4. This item, as the agenda language is worded, you see some references to certified survey map. There was actually 2 agenda items at yesterday's Plan Commission meeting, one being a certified survey map, the second being a request to rezone. The request to rezone was actually conditioned on the approval of the certified survey map. The certified survey map is not on your agenda this evening because there were no public dedications as part of it. The Plan Commission did consider this item, and as you heard in the public hearing, there were some concerns that were raised specifically regarding Ordinance 51, our land division ordinance and design guidelines, so area and dimensional restrictions that we have in our ordinance. It's not specifically a substandard lot. Substandard, as I view it, is substandard to the zoning, and that was why there's a request to rezone. However, it is below the dimensional and area restrictions that do exist in our ordinance, under Ordinance 51. That said, this item was tabled at the Plan Commission meeting, so there was no action, no recommendation made on either the CSM or the request for rezoning. Therefore, there has been no recommendation made, and just for everybody's information, that was tabled until December's meeting.
I'll make a motion to table
I'll second that.
this resolution.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Tabled. Till, what was that, December 13th?
Yeah, so it'll be on your December agenda.
Okay.
December is when the Plan Commission will take this up, unless the application itself is withdrawn before that date.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question? So there, you will go through all the procedures the same as you did there at the Plan Commission, and then it'll come back to us only if they send it to us? What if they don't send it to us?
Sure. To answer your question, it will go through the same procedure at the Plan Commission meeting. At their December meeting, they will take this matter up unless as I said, the application would be withdrawn. We did hold a public hearing tonight, so the public hearing, unless the application itself were to change, the public hearing likely wouldn't be held. We've had a public hearing. The town board would consider this item only after a recommendation one way or the other was from the Plan Commission. If the Plan Commission were to not make a recommendation in a certain period of time, then it'll still come to the town board. There needs to be some action taken on it. The Plan Commission is just a step that makes a recommendation in this process. As I understand it, the applicant in this matter is exploring other options apart from this, but during the discussion, it was asked that we just table it so that he could explore those options along with possibly continuing to request that R1 zoning designation. At this point, there has been no decision made on the CSM or the rezone.
So, can I ask another question? Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the part about the zoning map, we approved those, but does that not have to go to the county board?
So after the town board takes action on it, then every zoning map amendment is forwarded to the county. And I believe the county considers every single one of them. So, yes, but that's a step after the town.
Okay, thank you. I'm just trying to let the people know that it also goes through the county board.
That's correct.
See your county board representative on this also.
Number 8 on the agenda, consideration and possible action on resolution 2021-29, David Ramsden's Storage Unlimited LLC conditional use permit application to allow 2 additional 40-foot by 290-foot storage units located at 7920 South Park Road, number 0701658.
All right, so this item also was considered at yesterday's Plan Commission meeting. The Plan Commission did discuss the application with the applicant and had a conversation regarding a number of considerations with the application. The result of which was a Plan Commission recommendation for granting the conditional use permit to allow the 2 additional units with the condition that the width spacing is maintained to be consistent with the existing buildings.
And I'd like to also add, and Jamie did mention too, that the Plan Commission did talk about the berm around the outside of the establishment with the roots and all that. And like Jamie had indicated, they are working with the DNR. So there's a lag time of what is going to be actually happening with that landscape around those buildings. So Jamie is a good neighbor, and she plans on, making sure, and their projects in the past have been really, kept up well, and so she's also keeping the aesthetics of the coloring of the buildings with the same as the 2 new buildings that are already put there, so.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2021-29 in random storage.
Motion second by Amber. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Individually, Jeremy, aye. Bill Vendetti?
Aye.
Patty Lumpy?
Aye.
Amber France?
Aye.
And Andrew is a absent. Motion passes. Item 9, consideration and possible action on resolution 2021-30, Shane Roosh Land Development 4 LLC, application to rezone from A agriculture to R2 residential development.
Okay, so as you see on the agenda, there were 3 previously approved certified survey maps that the Plan Commission considered and approved. This item then is proposing rezoning all of those 3 parcels from ag to R2. I would just note that each of those 3 parcels are individually below the 5 acre threshold for agricultural. The Plan Commission did consider this item at yesterday's meeting and made a recommendation to rezone from agricultural to residential 2.
So these three are part of this 19.17?
No?
Or no?
you-
that's
so-
different. Okay, yeah, these are, okay, yep. These are different,
That'll be the next one.
yeah, okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2021-31.
Second.
Ma'am, ready discussion? Okay, I'll read it off. Jeremy, aye. Bill Clendenning,
Aye.
Patty,
Aye.
Amber,
Aye.
Andrew's an absence. Motion carries. Item 10, consideration and possible action on resolution 2021-31, Bruce Land Development 1 LLC, application to rezone from A agriculture to R2 residential, parcel number 0701003, a 19.17 acre parcel.
All right, so this item does relate to the next item as well. So this item does relate to the preliminary plat item. This specifically relates to the rezoning of that 19.17 acre parcel. The proposal is to rezone from the agricultural to R2 residential. Just to note that the preliminary plat that the town received all has lots that are below, again, the 5 acre minimum for agricultural. The Plan Commission did review that and made a recommendation to rezone that 19.17 acre parcel from agricultural to R2.
I can make a motion to approve resolution 2021-30.
Motion Patty.
I'll second it.
They both said it's a big one.
I heard it
Any
first.
discussion? Okay. Jeremy, aye. Bill Clendenning.
Aye.
Patty,
Aye.
Amber.
Aye.
Amber, Andrew is absent. Motion passes. Item 11, consideration and possible action on resolution 2021-32, preliminary plat for Deer Road Acre subdivision to be located on a 19.17 acre parcel owned by Roosh Land Development 1 LLC, described as section 34, T22, Range 6E, N1/2 of the northeast quarter, southeast quarter, town of Grand Rapids, Wood County, Wisconsin, parcel 0701003.
All right, as I said, that this one does relate to the previous one. This is actually the preliminary plat for the proposed subdivision named Deer Road Acres. The Plan Commission reviewed the preliminary plat that was submitted at its meeting yesterday, reviewed that preliminary plat to make sure that there was conformance with the state statute as well as our town ordinance requirements under 51.6. After reviewing the town ordinance requirements specifically, which in large part do go in parallel the state statutes, there were a number of matters that were still needing to be addressed in the preliminary plat. There were a couple options that the Plan Commission had at that point. So as I said earlier, this is a preliminary plat. The process for any subdivision procedure, when I say subdivision procedure, I'm not talking CSM, I'm talking subdivisions where we receive preliminary plat, final plat, and go through this process. The next step will be a final plat as well. The options that the Plan Commission had at that point was to table it and allow the applicant an opportunity to address the issues that were noted. I can review all those issues with you. There were a number of them, 10 to be exact. But the Plan Commission decided that since the final plat is still a required step in this process, the Plan Commission would make a recommendation to the town board to approve the preliminary plat conditioned on addressing the deficiencies that were noted that are not in conformance with our ordinance requirements. So the ordinance requirements having references to things like total acreage and noting areas contiguous to the proposed development. All of those things need to be shown, okay? By the way that came in, those will need to be shown on the final plat. There wouldn't be approval of the final plat unless those were shown. I can say that the list was forwarded to the surveyor. The surveyor has followed up already with the zoning administrator today. And I can say that a number of these issues have been addressed, as we talked about yesterday at the Plan Commission meeting. A lot of the issues are ones that are pretty easily addressed. They just need to be noted on the map. I can tell you that the surveyor is in process of making sure that that matches, and any final plat that the Plan Commission and then ultimately you would receive would have to show all of that anyway.
So the Plan Commission, like Nick had indicated, that we did move forward with it with the recommendation that they meet these guidelines here. So we felt that the town board can go ahead and approve the preliminary map as they presented with the contingencies that they meet this, because it will come back as a final. So we can then at that point review the final map again. So there are steps, and they also work with Wood County too when they're working with this. So there's a lot more steps that he has to go through in order for it to be final. So we would like it to keep moving forward. So
we're passing a preliminary.
Right, so the Plan Commission feels that we can, it's okay we recommended that we continue to move forward.
And on that point, I forgot to mention that as it was forwarded to the surveyor, a copy was also forwarded to Wood County.
Yep.
And that has been put in the file as well. So there is certainly communication between us and the county to make sure that there's consistency in these requirements.
Motion?
I can make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-32, the preliminary plat for Deer Road Acres subdivision to be located on 19.17 acre parcel owned by Westland Development 1 LLC, described as Section 34 T22 N Range 6 East North half of the northeast corner section, southeast corner of the town of Grand Rapids, Wood County, Wisconsin, parcel number 0701003.
Have a second?
I will second that motion.
Did you have consistent with the?
Oh, yes, with the contingencies of the list that was forwarded from Attorney Flanagan to the surveyor / Wood County. Please second that part too.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Take a roll call. Jeremy, aye. Bill?
Aye.
Patty?
Aye.
Amber?
Aye.
Andy is absent.
Mr. Chairman, could I go back to number 8? And since we've had all these preliminaries about what the Plan Commission did, on the one on the storage unit, there was a gentleman here concerned about the brush and stuff like that. And what did the Plan Commission think was going to check in and make sure that that was going to be done, or they're checking with? I just want to make sure that gentleman knows that.
Well, the DNR is working with Jamie's group on this. So as soon as they get the retention pond and that, I'm sure that they'll be utilizing, and Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, we were under the understanding that she's going to be utilizing some of that berm and cleaning that up in order to do the landscaping in that area.
Okay. I just want, to know that that was also part of the Plan Commission. Thank you.
None. 12, consideration of possible action on ordinance 2021-28, ward division and designating polling place.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution, and just to say something about it. This came from the county board, and I do serve on the county board. And this comes for towns to straighten out their wards. There was very few changes done in the county, as the number of supervisors is 0.09 which is very good when we're doing the redistricting maps. I think my district has changed a little bit. Some were added. I am 7 people short compared to some of the other ones, but that's great. They do a good job at the zoning office, and then they send it to the towns. Most towns in the Wood County are already of one ward themselves, where we are the 3rd largest community in the county, and then the town of Saratoga, and then the town of Lincoln. They all have wards. Most of the towns are just one ward, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Jeremy, aye. Bill?
Aye.
Patty?
Aye.
Amber?
Aye.
Andrew's absent. Motion passes. Okay. Number 13, consideration of possible action on Edward Acres water issue. Arne was handling this. I do have an email from him that was in here. And also Mike Smith from the road crew is here also and can update us on some of the things. Lampert Lee is talking with the road crew about hiring the city of Wisconsin Rapids to run a camera up through the pipe to be able to look at the condition of the pipe and make sure that there are no failures in. Mike, you want to kind of speak and bring everybody up to speed? And
Sure. We're going to run a camera up the pipe. It will be all on the thumb drive or be able to send an email to anybody. Any defects or anything, they will be located and processed on that thing so they can tell exactly where they are from up above. They're figuring a day and a half, possibly a little bit more. They wanted $200 an hour for the camera and another $50 an hour for the truck. If they run into anything, blockage, whatever, at the same time they can clean it with the truck. And they also have radio contact with each other. If something goes wrong, they can shut it off immediately. So the only other thing we need is a map of it from Lambert and Lee so they can map it all out and give everything a name in a different place. They're estimating probably $3,000 to $4,000 somewhere in that neighborhood, depending on how everything goes. So.
Mr. Chairman.
yes, sir. Go ahead, Bill.
You know, for a project this big and what happened in the 50-year agreement and things like that, I would think what we're paying these people, we could have had a written report to that extent. I think just a conversation on somebody that was present when this stuff was said, for what we paid those people, I don't think that's sufficient. If I was here and in Edgewater subdivision, I would wonder, where's the report? What's going on? And now I'm going to hear it verbally. I just don't think that's right.
Which people are you talking about? Lampert and Lee?
Yes.
And Larry did provide a map and wants to have a meeting later in October to be able to explain the map. And this particular thing was brought up because of, I had a conversation with Larry yesterday, and we'll have to kind of fumble through this a little bit. Bill, I know it frustrates you. This should probably go to the Waterworks Committee, but with Arne doing what he did, we got to kind of move forward. We've got winter coming. And if, something like this, in my opinion, something like this waits, we could be fighting cold, frost, bad equipment, all that. So, yeah, Pat.
And I see, and thanks, Mike, for taking the time to, to come to this meeting this evening and sharing that information. I'm thinking that with this camera going down and visualizing what we have already is part of the information that I would assume Larry would need, Lampert and Lee, to be able to give us more of a defined suggestion as where we go to next.
Yeah, we'll kind of wrap it up because this map basically shows numbers all of the cans and talks about the elevation.
Right.
Or the, you know, to see if there's enough drop off.
And then at that meeting, we would be able to ask Lampert Lee to give us a formalized written documentation of what was seen through this camera and the analysis of that. So I think there's more that's coming down the line on this. So I don't know, are we looking for a motion to move forward with the camera, or what are we looking for it to do right now?
I would like to do that, like I said, just because of the weather that could be coming and the conditions that this has got to be done in.
Can I make a recommendation that if you do make a motion and vote to approve it, that you put a cap on the amount that would be spent?
Yes.
Right. And being that I'm on the water committee, I would like to make that motion to pursue the running of the camera, working with the city of Wisconsin Rapids at the rate of $250 per, not to exceed $250 per hour, with a cap of $4,000.
So that in hours, sorry. Do we need to put it in hours?
I think if you do the rate at not to exceed 4,000, that would be sufficient.
Okay. All right.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All.
I will be voting no on this for the simple reason that I don't think, I just remember on the 71st thing, First Street, in that drainage ditch, how the town chairman went out and did things to it. I asked for a report, never got a report from the water committee, exactly what went on there. And the town did things, I don't know what they did. I don't know where they got the permission to do it. So I will be voting against it, because I don't think this should go that way. Thank you.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Okay, aye.
Bill. It'll have to be during public hearing. At the end of the meeting, we'll do public comment again. So motion passes. Consideration and action on proposed changes to the personnel handbook.
Did you want me,
Yeah, go
Amber, to
ahead. Yep.
go through this? So this item was referred from a previous meeting, and due to expressed interest by employees of being able to donate paid time off to other town employees, the policy language that was drafted this evening would allow the donation of paid time off. That includes vacation days, sick leave to other employees who are on an approved leave of absence. Just a couple list of conditions that are in that policy. First off, the receiving employee must be on an approved leave of absence. Second, if donating that sick leave, it cannot come from catastrophic sick leave. Third, the donated time doesn't extend any qualifications for benefits or other accrual of benefit time. If a holiday falls in that donated leave period, the employee would be paid the regular holiday pay, so the holiday would count, so to speak. So the donating employees must complete a donation form, and that was drafted. It should be page 2 in your packet for this item. And finally, if the receiving employee were to terminate their employment with the town prior to exhausting that donated leave, all the unused donated leave time would return or revert to that donated employee.
I just have a question, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
When you said with the holiday pay, is that the holiday pay as they get paid for that day, if it's like time and a half or whatever?
Sure. So the holiday, we have a section in our policy that relates to holidays and the pay that would be associated with it. The way this is drafted, that holiday pay would apply to the employee. So that would fall, really just, it's treated as though they're working, or employed during that.
On
and they're
holiday.
using-
Perfect.
Yep,
Okay.
and using a holiday.
Very good, thank you. I have no other further questions.
You also have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed changes to the personnel handbook relating to paid leave donation.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Item number 15, consideration of possible action on fence repair for Westland Park. Amber, you got
Yep.
details on this?
Yep, so this was something that was brought to our buildings committee meeting, and so Rick went out and took a look at the fencing, because there was a concern with the fence being unsafe, being like curled up, and he took a look at it, and essentially this, what you have here, is a quote for what it would take to replace that fence, because it is kind of a safety hazard at this point. With this here, this includes them taking the old fence down.
Would they actually take the fence and recycle it?
Rick had said that the town would take down the
Oh,
fence.
gotcha.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No opposition? Motion passes. September disbursement vouchers. Questions on those?
I have none.
Amber? I have none. Okay, approved then. Operator's license. We have 1 year, Ruby Johnson at the store, Owen Rupp at the store, Dennis Torque, Tri-City Golf Course.
And all of them have been approved by the police department, I see? Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the 1 year as presented.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No opposition. 1 year. Are there? All right, monthly reports, Public Works. There was no meeting. Airport Commission, I attended a Airport Commission meeting last week. Thursday, September was the best month the airport has had. Looks like they are going to hit their budget for the year. There was a motion that was passed for the proposed budget, and Town of Grand Rapids donation there will be the same as it was. It's based off of a percentage amount that was passed, and from now forward, it's the feeling that the airport will slow down as the golf season comes to an end. Sand Valley shuts their doors October 15th. So September was a good month for the airport.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Pat?
Do you recall the dollar amount that we'll be budgeting?
Yes. It is
Less than last year.
$42,590.
42. Thank you.
It's less than last year.
Yes, less than last year. Yeah.
And Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the things too is, for people who are concerned, for a number of years, the Village of Burin used to be a member of it, and then they ceased to be a member of the Airport Commission. And the same way with the city of Nakusa. And when the city of Nakusa got back on, you were supposed to pay up all your dues from that time. Well, we made a special arrangement for Nakusa not to do that, and they just joined. Now with the city, with the village of Burin, they're thinking of getting in it, and they would be getting in it for about $8,000 a year. That would be more than the city of Nakusa pays, because their valuation is a lot higher, especially with the new development there. But it's not for sure whether they're going to join or not, but it's still in the making, and it has been for 5 years. I just thought I'd bring that up. because it's been brought up before.
Further
His beer are
discussions.
never going to. And no, there is no contribution to the airport commission from the town of Rome. And that's, at one time, they did give us $10,000, but that's not in the making for this year. Thank you.
Recycling, solid waste, and water.
Okay, I'm going to have a meeting, we don't have a final on, I just would like to say something about our recycling efforts and our choose to reuse. It wasn't as successful as it was the years past. We had 125 cars versus 325 cars coming in. We had, and just what we had to throw away that we claim we recycle, but we just couldn't recycle it. We didn't have enough pickers at it. And anyways, that was 4,800 pounds of stuff that we threw in the dump. And I'm sorry to hear that, but there was a lot of, and that was with the iron, 4,800 pounds of iron. And we had 1.3 tons, so that's 2,800 pounds of stuff that we threw in the dump. So it wasn't as successful as years before. We had a lot of stuff come in, a lot of people took things, but not enough. So, and we'll have a more complete report. I'm planning on having a committee meeting with the recycling and solid waste in the near future. So, and just to talk about the water a little bit, I've been waiting for the DNR to address us. The DNR until the last week in October will only be available. A guy by the name of Dan that I'm consulting with to have him come and speak to some of these things. And in public comment, you'll probably hear some things about the public and what's going on in the public, but there is a rumor, I haven't heard it, that the city of Wisconsin Rapids is, I believe, going to, now it's just a rumor, and I heard that tonight, is going to dig out the 2 mile. That's rough. I didn't hear that from the DNR or anything, but you may hear that. So, but we are going to have a water meeting, and it'll be announced when we're going to have that. Thank you.
Can I say just one point on that? And that is that as I was instructed to do at the last meeting, I did reach out to hopefully accelerate our waste collection and agreement, and I did receive a response. I believe I forwarded it to you all for your review, and was told that they are accelerating their timeline and hope to get it back. I gave them 30 days to do it.
Can I just ask you a question on that? Okay, so is the fee going to be the same for the first year?
I haven't seen yeah, I haven't seen anything. You will absolutely see it as soon as
because I didn't get anything, so that's what you're saying.
I sent an email and received a response, and I forwarded the response to you all for your review. I have not seen an agreement, anything proposed, and we did give a period of time that we'd like to see a response back. If the period of time does expire, I will follow up with them and start at least talking about what the amount would be, because your budgeting depends on that. And so I think that was the reason that we forwarded that request to them, so we could get an agreement.
Thank you for that.
Deadline?
It is coming up about mid-month, so we're about a week away.
I will invite them to the meeting also.
Anything else on water?
No, that'd be it, thank you.
Planning Commission?
We had the 6 agenda items on there, and they were all reviewed at this evening's meeting, so we all know the outcome.
Public buildings.
We haven't met since the last meeting, but we will be meeting. The only thing was the Westland Park stuff, but we already talked about that.
Legislative, we did not meet. Public safety?
Didn't meet.
Didn't meet?
Mm.
Okay. Economic development?
Yeah, so the last meeting, it was approved to go to the seed committee to obtain the funding for the trail. That funding was denied based on opposition from our board kind of being divided. And we brought back everything they had asked us to bring back, but just with the not agreement on the board, they just didn't feel they wanted to be involved in that this time.
It was passed at the board, though.
It was passed here, yes.
Do we have a meeting coming up for that then?
We will, yep.
Okay. Anything else from economic development? Personnel?
Nothing in addition to what we already talked about today.
Wisconsin Towns Association?
Okay, and just briefly, I'll tell you about the Towns Association meeting. Just got home today from it. It was a 3-day event, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. It was held in the Dells area, and there was 272 new officers in attendance. They were new officers. It was very well attended. The halls were full. The workshops were full of people. It was a great one. They've run out of food, as a matter of fact, which upset some people, especially for the breakfast that they served this morning. A lot of people, when they got there 15 minutes after it started, the food was gone. But anyways, and some of the things I attended, like on Sunday, we attended a meeting where we talked to legislators that were present. But the legal Cracker Barrel was full, and they couldn't get any more people in the room. There was over 250 people in that room. And the legal Cracker Barrel that's where all 3 of our attorneys from the Towns Association go. And one of the other things was I attended the broadband and how that's affecting towns, and that's who it mostly affects with broadband. They don't have the communications. And then I also attended American Rescue. This was well attended. That's the ARP things. And to let you know, there's many articles on it, especially with this ARP money being spent on water issues such as that. And it's a good thing because we have water issues here. And that was discussed at length. As a matter of fact, it didn't let out as soon as it should have. And then a refresher on the comprehensive plan. I also attended that meeting. And I attended the large solar projects. That was today. And right-of-way acquisitions and stuff like that. Very informative it was. And one more I attended was drainage areas for townships, which was pretty well packed, except that for the people in southern Wisconsin where they're a foot short of rain, so that wasn't bad. But of all that I have attended in my 34 years, I would say this was the best attended, and the speakers that they had was great. Yes. And so I thank the committee or the board for sending me. Thank you.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yes.
On the ARPA presentation, I know there's been a number of articles and presentations even at the unit meetings. Was there a handout or anything?
No, but I'm expecting them. We asked for all those.
Yeah, because
that was a 52-page one, and during the meeting, we only got to number 24.
Okay.
So that's it. And the ARPA funding, like I say, for people here, we in the town are receiving $735,000 in ARPA funds. So, you know, and we got till 2024 to spend them. But that's the topic of conversations that's all around. And we'll be talking about it more at the county unit meetings too.
I just have one question. So you are saying that we are able to utilize those funds that we receive for water issues?
Yes, and I can get that in writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be careful. Where the county is asking maybe to get involved in our water issues too, and I don't know where that's proceeded yet, but the county is getting 14 million. So of all the towns, and the villages and the cities, there's $21 million in ARPA funds coming to Wood County. And you can join together, and I have spoke to Lance about this. Lance Primmel, who is a county board chair, is also involved. He lives in the town of Grand Rapids, and he has discussed with me, maybe we can get together. Counties can't give their money to other counties, but counties and towns and villages and cities can share to do a county-wide thing. And that's what's very important, because some of these townships don't have any projects, and maybe they're getting $8,000, $9,000. Some of them at first refused to get it, but we talked to them through the Towns Association. You know, don't refuse this money. And we found out that they can give it to other towns to do it, as long as it stays within the county.
So when we talk about water issues, it can also be talked about drinking water issues.
Yes, yes.
Drainage issues. It's
Certainly.
just all about water.
Yes.
Good.
Okay, and for the Towns Association, County Unity, I give you a copy of the minutes. The most important thing is the LRIP funds. Those are for roads. We use that to do the town line road when it was done years ago. And there's no projects being planned for the town of Grand Rapids. But these are projects within the town. And the group of 6 people will decide where that is, and they were elected, and they're in it. There was one from the town of Millador, Hanson. Arne Nystrom was also nominated, and there was 8 people nominated, and 6 got it, and there was 2. Arne did not get on it. I nominated him for this, and he wasn't in attendance, so the people that weren't there, they usually give stuff to, but he wasn't there, they didn't give anybody that wasn't there, so. And there is a Towns Association County Unit meeting Friday night at 6:30 at Arpin.
And what's the topic?
I forget who's talking. I forget who is speaking. No, I can't remember who's speaking. Thank you.
Moving on. Item 19, reports from individual town members. Amber, anything to report?
No, I don't have anything.
Bill, anything to report?
No, I've said enough.
Patty?
No, thank you.
I will just say, we've got, as a board, I think we've got a couple of challenges in front of us. You know, we were elected to do what's best, I think, for the town. I'd like us to work together. You know, I feel like there was some animosity here recently. I'd like to see that go away. I'd like to see the personal agendas kind of checked at the door. Come in, let's look at it as an open mind and get things done and figure out what's best, and no more loose ends, and work as a team. That's what I'd like to see us do. I think we're a good group to do it, and that's what we were asked to do. So I think that's it for me. So I'll open it up to public input. People wishing to address the board will be limited to 2 minutes each, with the total amount of time 16 minutes.
Mr. Chairman? Pardon?
Go ahead.
The gentleman behind Gil has.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Comment for the legislative committee. This came up pretty much because of the item on last night's agenda for the Planning Commission with the ZERFLU application to split land and then in turn rezone it. I think section 51 is quite adequate. It governs the division or redivision of existing parcels, and it's 20,000 square feet unless you're served by sanitary sewer. I think the thing that needs to be addressed in our ordinance is section 52 zoning. Specifically R1 and R2, they are identical, except R1 says 10,000 square foot minimum lot size. R2 says 20,000. square foot minimum lot size. If I recollect properly, the R1 was created not for new lots, but for existing substandard lots, which are grandfathered and were established prior to the 20,000 square foot minimum lot size. So I recommend that the legislative committee take a look at that R1, R2, get some language in there that better clarifies where R1 would be applicable. And I believe that's only going to be for grandfathered substandard lots. We don't have anything in the township that's served by sanitary sewer, so.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mike Stuke, 45th Street South. All I hear is Edgewater Acres for water issues because they're on nightly news. From 50th Street down to 45th, our basements have been flooding for 3 years. I have incurred over $20,000 in damages and expenses, and that doesn't include mold in the basement now that has to come out, walls has to be torn out, walls that have to be replaced, and concrete that has to be redone because of pressure from the water pressure. 2 Mile has to be dredged. It's silted shut. The water's not flowing. It's coming down, hitting hard pan, and coming up and flooding our basements. And I'm not the only, there's lots of people over there. And we are angry, and there will be a class action lawsuit if things aren't done. Patty Lumbee, I had a discussion after a meeting about Quinlan Creek and 2 Mile water drainage issues, and she was vehement against something about beavers on Quinlan. The property owners didn't want them removed, as if they have an ownership over beavers or even a right in what water flows through their property. She is against anything done on the creeks because she's a property owner on 2 Mile. That is conflict of interest. She has to be removed from the Water Commission and cannot vote on water issues and drainage issues on the commission or in the town board because of a conflict of interest personal. And this has to be addressed. People are upset. You're looking at class action lawsuits, and that'll cost the town at least 10 times what resolving the water issues are in costs. So just some advice for the town board, what's coming down the road.
I need to respond to that. There is no conflicting issues. I have no property that even touches 2 Mile Creek or close to it.
Do you have relatives that do?
That's not 2 Mile Creek.
2 Mile Creek, your brother?
That is my brother, but I have no interest. That's not conflicting interest. I have no personal gain from it as far as financial, the personal interest. And also, he is in favor of getting that creek. If you look at his property, it was flooded.
Mm-hmm.
So he's in favor of getting it cleaned out. And so you should have probably come to me before you made a general
All right,
statement.
you and
like
I
that.
talked that day, and you were hostile to me.
No, I was
after
not
town board meeting.
hostile.
You said I was,
Sir, 2 minutes are up.
Okay.
Sir.
Gary, sir, I live over on 45th Street, and I talked to the individual around down on the farm and asked him, because I could see how devastated it was over there. But, you know, he told me they've had that problem before, and I said something about dredging that creek, and I thought they did it towards the on the west side, but he said no, it was always dredged on the other side of his property when it was done back in 1970 or something like that. But I said, well, don't you have a lot of problems with water? Well, but he says it didn't bother him. He lived with it. So I don't know what the story is about if he wants to have it. He didn't say he wanted to have it dredged or didn't say it either way. But I was here at the meeting when, well, we went around looking to see what the water situation was, and we ran into it over on 60th Street or 67 where they were flooded. And anyway, we just, since 2019, 20, and 21, as I said in the last meeting, I spent 10 months running a pump from Easter and before Easter the last 2 years, and this year it didn't start till August. And it went all the way till it freeze up. And fortunately, there was only 2 times the power went out, once at 2 o'clock in the morning and once when we had the 80-mile-an-hour winds come through here. and I had a generator, but I know there's 2-3 people in my area, and there's probably 15 people I can name or give you a list that have problems with water. But they spend $10,000 to put generators in. Well, I talked to Arne about that, and Arne says, well, that'd be a good idea. I said, yeah, Arne, but you think I'll get that $10,000 back? I think that we need to hire somebody or have some of the town crew, instead of brushing, take a walk down along that creek, put on some tick spray and maybe some waders. I looked at doing it, but there's such a jumble that's over the creek, I don't know if you could walk it. But take some video equipment in there and just take a picture and show us here what the hell it looks like. That's what my suggestion is. The other thing, I went over and talked to those people after the meeting over on 60th Street, and our consensus was they've got a drainage system there, but what they need to know is why the water's coming towards us. Where's it coming from? And I says, well, what about they'll fix you up, but what are they going to do on 45th Street, 48th Street? Well, if they fix them up, maybe it'll stop it here. But we need to know why we're getting this water. I've been here since 1981. And in 1992, I looked at my old sump pumps, the ones that died. They were dated 1990, 91. We had water back in 1990. And that's when it lasted. I think it started in May, and it lasted till about October. So we went 20 years, and it didn't come back. But the DNR guy tried to hoodwink us and say, well, geez, you know, got water all over the country. Well, up north of Minocqua.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to, you guys are our last resort. We don't know what the hell to do. I mean, I paid my dues 2.5 years of pumping water. I didn't move out here to pump water.
Thank you. Couple of questions. The camera that's proposed at Edgewood Acres, will that show the condition of the existing materials within as well as any blockages? Meaning corrosion of the pipes, that sort of thing? Yes? The meeting that's proposed by Lampert Lee for later in the month, is that going to be a public meeting, and will we be able to see notices of that on the town board?
Yes.
Okay. If the report from Lampert Lee should come back showing that there are repairs or changes that need to be made to the system, what will the process be to approve any funding for that?
I can't answer that tonight. Let's see what happens in the meeting.
And can you give me any kind of an update on what the work was that had taken place at 64th and Helke and also just south of W164 within the last couple of weeks regarding the drainage system?
Unfortunately, I can't because I wasn't involved. Arne was involved in that, so.
Are any of the other board members aware of any of it?
We'll catch up on that and be able to report on that at that meeting in October.
Yeah. Any idea when that might be?
No. I'll get in touch with Larry Koopman and find out and get a date and check with the entire board and find out what works and then let everybody know.
Thank you.
Can I just get your name, ma'am?
Barbara Randorf. Thank you. Batavia Avenue.
Anybody else? Yep.
Jamie White, 3410 Deer Road. So I'm not aware of this water issue except for what I'm hearing tonight. But if what I'm understanding is correct, they're suggesting that the 2-mile creek needs to be dredged or something potentially needs to be done with it. And I will say that Storage Unlimited owns the corner of Highway 54 and County U, and we had the water tested, and it was the water level is at 6 feet high towards the railroad tracks, and it's basically at ground level at the corner of 54 and U. And so what that means for us potentially, if we were to go with the site plan that we got approved by the board, we would have to raise all of our buildings up 6 feet so that water wouldn't potentially go into the buildings. So it sounds like what I'm hearing is that there is definitely, I don't know if it's from the 2-mile creek, but it looks like 2 Mile isn't too far away. I assumed it was just high water levels because there's cranberries not too far down the road that maybe, I don't totally understand water issues. I just know we don't want them in our buildings, just like they don't want them in theirs. So, and I did talk to somebody else that lives a little bit further in Portage County, and she said, yeah, it's a huge issue. Water comes up into there. So if it's helpful or not, is the board able to put an agenda item of dredging the creek on the agenda, or is it just the edge water is is how this is being looked at?
Well, the water, the water committee is trying to get the DNR involved to answer those questions. And one of the things that we're looking at is involving the Army Corps of Engineers also. Back in the 60s, they are the ones that did a lot of the trenching in this town in order to have the buildable area. So we're trying to recreate that whole collaboration with the DNR, Army Corps of Engineers, Wood County, Town of Grand Rapids, in order to help with the water issue.
So is it considered this Edgewater Acres, is that considered the issue that's being addressed, or is it just that the water group is the one that's?
Right, when we meet with the DNR, we're trying to encompass the whole town. Right now, they're just looking at the Edgewood Acres because of the ongoing issues, collapsing of the lines that has happened in the past, so.
We're gonna have to move on. We've got time for one more person, somebody, sir?
Yeah, just, I'd suggest the board would have a contingency plan when that camera is ran through, just in case they encounter a pipe that is collapsed. I mean, you could reach out a couple different contractors and get a price per foot, then you're guaranteed coverage on yourself, it's not by the hour. But then if the camera hits something that truck can't fix at 50 an hour, at least you have a plan in place where you can call somebody and have somebody there within the next week to repair, just because I'm looking outside and we have about a month and a half before frost sets in. And if we don't have that plan in place, the camera will find something, can't fix it, we gotta wait till next spring. So that's my suggestion.
Is that Jason?
Oh,
Jason?
yeah, hi.
Jason, okay, I just want to make sure. Thank you.
I guess we got time, that's good, we got time for one more. Anybody else wishing to speak?
I guess I've been involved with that too over there at Edgewood Acres. And I think the frustration from my end of it is that, yeah, we're gonna take care of it, but it's never been taken care of. I'm kind of concerned about that tonight. Who's gonna lead your committee to look at this and get some results out of it? Have you got a name or two names that are gonna be in charge of this?
The Water and Planning Commission. Bill's the commissioner, Patty and I are on it.
That's a good man, I'm glad to hear he's there. Thank you.
And what is your name, sir?
Dave Kirsten.
Thank you.
So I'll call the public comment time closed. Future agenda items?
May I suggest something?
Absolutely.
And it's going on, we had our water tested, there's free water testing going on. I hope a lot of you got a card. If you didn't, I can get bottles for you, and it comes with a sheet of paper. Where I live on 45th Street, mine tested out 8.6 nitrates, and
Ours tested out 20.
oh, okay, and I suggest that this is free, and I got the county to do it, the health department does it. You get the bottle, you have to put it on ice to take it back, but I can take several of them back as long as you put the wrapper, around it and put it, so I want to get a program, and maybe we can advertise that we're gonna be doing that. And even we can have
When did that start?
about a week ago. I mean, did you get cards? Did anybody get cards? Oh, wow.
We got them.
Yeah, I got them. I don't know. Okay, that's in the announcement, so. Okay, we will put that on the agenda item, and I will get the message out to the county.
Yes, Pat.
Yeah, for future agenda items, maybe this can be, and I don't know when we'll hold the legislation, but we can put on that before we had on our legislative meeting about the 10,000, 20,000 square feet. We just tabled it at that time, so we need to continue with that. And then also with the legislation, the point of where to measure the side setback, if it's over the eaves or the wall. there's that discrepancy,
Yep.
so it could be.
Can I address
Yeah,
that
go
one?
ahead.
So that one is still at the Plan Commission. I believe it'll be on one of the future agendas. So I think that one would not go back to legislative until there's a recommendation from Plan Commission.
Okay.
And
Thank
I
you.
believe there's another number of items that are able to go on a legislative committee agenda, so I suspect we'd probably have one in the next month or two.
Any other agenda items? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
I will.
Ready? All in favor?
Aye.
Ready? Smart, fast, and good.